Now, last week in part one of this series, we covered off our picks for small cars under $10,000. The link for that video is just up there somewhere. But this week, let's increase the size a little bit to medium to large-ish cars. And even more so than last week, at this budget, there are so many options, many of which are really, really good. But when you take into account reliability, the cost of maintenance and parts, practicality, safety, not to mention that they should be at least sort of enjoyable to drive, and they should also make you go, yeah, that's my car. Cool. These are our picks. Now, all of the cars in this list are really good, so even though the list is in numerical order, we're actually going to go from smallest to largest. So the car in first place doesn't necessarily win, it's just the biggest of this group. So kicking things off with the smallest car of this group, it's the Toyota Corolla. Here in Australia, 10 grand will get you into a wide variety of Corolla options, from the 2012 to 2018 E180 hatchback, which is known internationally as the Auris or even the Scion IM, to the sedan or the E170 version of this generation. Or you could delve back through the range of earlier Corolla and Auris hatchbacks and sedans, such as the 2007 to 2012 E150. Plus, there are even plenty of 90s and early noughties examples readily available for this budget. However, taking safety and features into account, which you really should, we'd be sticking with more recent models, unless your priorities put being retro cool above staying alive in the off chance that you have a serious accident. But which of the more recent models should you be checking out? Great question, mate. But really, any Corolla with a solid service history is generally a bloody good thing. At this price point, any of the E170 or E180 generations will most likely be a lower spec variant showing well over 150,000 kilometers on them. But as long as they've been serviced to Toyota's recommended schedule, the high kilometers, it shouldn't be much of a concern. Yes, for this price, you could get yourself into a lower kilometer and higher spec E150, but the more recent generation features improved safety, features and equipment, and they're more refined in terms of the driving experience. Plus, they just look newer. Negatives? Well, look, the Corolla has never really offered the most refined or engaging driving experience. It lacks any of the Euro cool that comes with something like a Volkswagen Golf, and in general, it isn't the most exciting car to buy or own. But when you're talking $10,000, thanks to an incredible reputation for longevity, reliability, and minimal maintenance costs, a Corolla is simply an intelligent and sensible choice. But what if you want something with a bit more spice and, let's say, character? Well, maybe a Honda Civic is the way to go. For this price point here in Australia, the majority of Civics available will be, in hatchback form, either the 2006 to 2011 8th generation, or more commonly the 2012 to 2016 9th generation, or in sedan form, the 2006 to 2011 8th generation. Okay, yes, for $10,000, you could easily get yourself behind the wheel of a 5th, 6th, or 7th generation Civic, obviously not in Type R form, but again, for this price point, reliability, safety, running, and maintenance costs really should be the priority, and hence why we'd be recommending sticking with the more recent models. If you need a hatchback, we'd be checking out the more recent 9th generation Civic, as while the 8th gen is a good thing, the 9th generation improves everything across the board, although we'd be avoiding the diesels. Yes, we know some owners swear by the diesels, but plenty of other owners swear at the diesels, thanks to the high maintenance and repair costs. The 9th gen looks great, it's supremely practical thanks to Honda's Magic Seats, they have just the right amount of features and equipment, they're not rocket ships in terms of performance, but they are really fun to drive, they're showing excellent reliability, and any of the previous kinks from the 8th generation were ironed out. In sedan form, for this budget, the 8th gen is the way to go, and if you can, try to find one packing the 2-litre engine. Here in Australia, that's going to be the Civic Sport, but internationally, there are a variety of different 2-litre equipped Civic models offering various states of tune and performance, but all of them are hugely enjoyable to drive, especially when you take into consideration the price. No matter which of these Civics you're looking at, all will most likely be showing north of 150,000 kilometers. But thanks to Honda's excellent build quality and reputation for reliability, with a solid service history, the higher mileage shouldn't be too much of a concern. Actually, if anybody out there has one of these 9th generation Civic hatchbacks or a Civic Sport and you live in Sydney or Newcastle or somewhere nearby and you'd be happy to see it featured on Redriven, can you let us know in the comments or message us via Instagram, because we would love to feature one. Okay, next up it's the Mazda 3, but which Mazda 3? Well, in terms of the generations available for this price point, you're going to be looking at either the 2004 to 2009 first generation, or the BK, or the 2009 to 2013 BL models. But just like the Civic and the Corolla, we'd be recommending going with the more recent variants. Look, there's nothing inherently wrong with the first generation Mazda 3, but the second generation improves pretty much everything. And as far as this generation at under $10,000 goes, here in Australia, you can choose between a sedan or a hatch across primarily 4 different trim specs. And while there are plenty of lower spec or Neo or Max models on the used market, we'd be stepping things up a bit and getting yourself into an SP25 featuring the 2.5 litre power plant. We've actually made a full review video of this particular car, the link for which is just up here, and watch that because it'll explain why it is so highly recommended. Plus, if you require all of the specific details, just jump on redriven.com and check out the Mazda 3 cheat sheet. Basically, it's like the ultimate Mazda 3 buyer's guide. But as a quick overview, well-maintained examples are showing excellent reliability, they're super enjoyable to drive, they're practical, the levels of equipment and safety are very good for this price point, and the running and maintenance costs are totally reasonable. Okay, next up, this was one of my very favorite cars to review last year. It's the Honda Accord Euro, or if you're watching this from North America, it's the Acura TSX. Not only is the 2003 to 2008 CL9 Accord Euro, or TSX, more than a worthy pick at this price point, many actually argue that this car is hugely underrated at any price point. Stylish good looks, Honda's bulletproof and now iconic K24 power plant, class-leading fit, finish and build quality, excellent levels of driver engagement and therefore driver enjoyment, genuine practicality. Honestly, the list of attributes that this car exhibits just never seems to end. Okay, they are getting a little bit long in the tooth in regards to technology, and yes, the safety standards are from nearly 20 years ago, but updating the infotainment system is a breeze, and just do your best not to crash it. The fact that there are still so many of these on our roads and available on the used market nearly 2 decades after they were released, and remember, these were never a huge seller in the first place, just goes to show how reliable and long-lasting this Honda is. Again, guys, we have made a full review video of this car, so for more details, just watch this link up here. And also, just like the Mazda 3, for all the specific details, jump on redriven.com and check out its cheat sheet. Also, we've noticed that only about 20% of the people that watch our videos actually subscribe to the channel. Now, look, we would love to increase that number because, putting it simply, the more subscribers we have, the more of this content we can make for you. So if you haven't already, can you give that subscribe button a hit and maybe the bell and the like icon as well, and also share this content with your mates because, honestly, it helps us out so much. Okay, finally, the biggest car for this category and our final recommendation, sort of, it's the Toyota Camry, or more specifically, the Orion. But there's something else too. At this price point, and thanks to the Camry being easily one of the most reliable, long-lasting and popular medium to large cars the world has ever seen, there are hundreds, if not thousands of examples available on the used market. Everything from the boxy but funky second generation V20 through to the conservative but bulletproof XV10 from the 1990s, more angular XV20 and the more swoopy XV30, and the most popular at this price point, the 2006 to 2011 XV40. And if you require more horses under that bonnet, the 6-cylinder Orion version. But let's start with the Camry. First of all, even though these do have a reputation for lasting forever, loads of owners out there have reported high oil consumption for the 2.4 litre 4-cylinder engine. So much so that we'd actually recommend skipping the 4-cylinder Camry and, for similar kind of money, just get the 6-cylinder Orion instead. Okay, yes, it does exude some serious granddad vibes, and dynamically, the Orion might be a bit flat when compared to, say, an Accord Euro or even a Mazda 6, but it is surprisingly quick. It's loaded with features and equipment, especially in the higher trim specs. It comes with a very solid safety rating. It's hugely practical and comfortable, and being a Toyota, parts are everywhere, and if something were to go wrong, fixing it shouldn't cost an arm and a leg. Negatives? Well, the pre-2009 models were susceptible to oil leaks from a hose on the rear cylinder bank, but that should have been fixed up by now. And being a big car packing a V6 engine, they aren't exactly the most fuel-efficient forms of transport out there. But find one that hasn't been a taxi or a hire car, make sure it has a full and thorough service history, and have all the boxes ticked at a pre-purchase inspection, and the Orion makes for a superb large-ish family car. Also, we do have a couple of honourable mentions for this category. The 2013 to 2018 Kia Cerato and the 2012 to 2016 Hyundai i30 and Elantra are worth consideration as well. These Kia and Hyundai models are incredibly closely related under the stylish skin, all offer excellent value for money, good driving dynamics for what they are, and are generally proving to be pretty reliable. Although, be very careful of any fitted with the 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, as we are starting to see some serious mechanical issues arising far too commonly of late. Make you go, yeah, what the hell was that noise? It sounded like a dinosaur outside. But what if you're something, whoa, either the 2006 to 2011, 2011, idiot. We know some owners swear by the diesels, but plenty of other owners enunciate. But the second generation predictably, here we go, words I can't pronounce and I've put them in the script, improves pretty much everything. It says it there, and I'm not, my mouth and brain are not doing what the words say. So guys, we want to know, which of these would you buy, or would you buy something completely different? Let us know in the comments. Oh, also, next week we're going to be doing top 5 small SUVs under $10,000. It's part 3 of this series. And we'd love to know which SUVs you think should make the list. Let us know in the comments. See you next week.